shift gears for a second. I have clients currently that are going through divorce and separation and this kind of thing, and several of them are self-employed. So as a business attorney, a business growth strategist and consultant, what would you say to a self-employed guy who's going through a divorce? What does he need to know before he retains the divorce attorney? And he's got to protect his business. He's got to protect his income. What does he need to know?
He should first of all make sure that his business receipts are going into an account that his wife doesn't have access to. I mean, this goes back to you don't commingle funds, but again, many small business owners commingle funds this way.
Yeah.
So make sure that your wife doesn't have access to your business accounts, because if she does, she can just clean them out in your SOL. But just make sure that you have documents to support your income and expenses, because you don't want a situation where the court is imputing income and expenses to you, which they have a habit of doing sometimes. So just try to make sure that you have your income and expenses documented. Make sure your wife doesn't have access to your accounts or to your business records. And also, if it's likely to be a nasty divorce, as sometimes happens, if your wife is going to be out spreading rumors about you, make sure you're in a position to counteract those rumors that she's spreading. And I think that's one thing that a lot of men don't want to realize is just once the wife decides that it's over, and she'll be quite nasty in making sure that it's over. And he doesn't really realize the depths that she's willing to go to destroy him once she makes that decision. So if you're getting divorced, your first order of business is to protect yourself and to protect your business from any interference from your spouse, because she will definitely try to interfere if she can.
Yeah, I mean, I know guys that have their own business and their revenue is 150, 175K a year, but their own personal income might be 50 or 60,000.
Right. Absolutely.
And the wife might say, "Oh, he makes 175,000. This might be a great reason to not commingle expenses, because if the court is going to start talking alimony, they need to base it upon his $45,000, $50,000 a year versus $175,000 a year. If he's bringing in $175,000 a year, that doesn't mean he's personally making $175,000 a year.
You have to pay business expenses. You may have an employees, but again, you need the paperwork to back all this up. I mean, if you have a lot of income but you can't back up the expenses, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think now we are building a case for business owners to contact somebody like you. This is the kind of stuff, like as soon as a guy thinks, "Hey, I want to start a business," that's usually the last thing he thinks of, but I want it to be one of the first things he thinks of.
Yes, it's never nice to start out saying you need to have a completely separate set of books, not just because it's just a better business practice, but in case things go south in your marriage, you can protect yourself. And no one wants to think about that. I mean, I think about that perhaps more than most people, because I see that issue come up a lot. But you need to always be in a position to protect yourself.
Let's say somebody gets to the point where they can quit their day job.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing okay, and they really feel like that this new business is going to start scaling up, and there's evidence that it has been scaling. And they're going to take a leap of faith and put in the notice. What do they need to know before they put in their notice?
Well, the main issue is that people in this country get a lot of their benefits from their being employed. So if you're going to quit your job to go through your own business, you need to be thinking about things like, where are you going to get your health insurance? How are you going to invest for retirement if there's no company 401k? I would say that the health insurance and the retirement investments are the two things that need to be thought about and that people often overlook. There are a lot of tax advantages to running your own retirement account out of a one-person LLC. A lot of investment advisors will help you out with this, but it's one of those things that's easy to overlook. And healthcare can be very expensive to get for an individual. So that's something that needs to be considered. I mean, how much health insurance are you going to need? Do you have, does your wife or children, do they need special health insurance? It may be a position, and this sometimes happens, where the health insurance will stop someone from quitting their job simply because they need specialized health insurance because their child has a health issue, and there's no way they can get that health insurance on the open market. So that it's things like that that people need to be aware of. I mean, if it's a single guy who's in his 20s, I mean, he doesn't really care about any of that stuff. But the older you get and the more responsibilities you get, those things become that much more important. And I know we didn't get much into this. I just sort of mentioned it in passing at the end. If men who have businesses are getting divorced, they have no idea how nasty their wife is gonna make it for them. It's just it all inevitably gets ugly, and men never understand that. I would say, and just from doing bankruptcy for 15 years, if a woman is making major changes to her life, that's always a sign that she's getting ready to move on. And what I mean by major changes are starts going to the gym and loses a bunch of weight, gets a personal trainer, goes to Orange Theory, starts buying new clothes, gets a boob job, anything to improve her personal appearance. And she'll often, maybe even more sexually available than she was in the past, as a way to keep the husband quiet. But if a woman is greatly improving her sexual market value, it ain't for the husband.
Right. See, now, to my audience, for you guys watching this right now, you know exactly where we're going with this. And he's right. He's right.